Hey everyone, it's Jason. Today's an unboxing for the new game from Unstable Games, makers of Unstable Unicorns. Happy Little Dinosaurs. This is the exclusive edition. So it is the base game plus the 5-6 player expansion, which you can buy them separately. Although if you buy the expansion, you probably need to go in the base game. And then a couple of Kickstarter exclusive cards. They all came in one box, so I'm just going to do this as I'm going to do one video just showing off the part one will be just this base game, part two will be the expansion and the little Kickstarter stuff quick. But yeah, so I don't have like two different boxes because it all came in one big box for me. So of course we have a little rule book here. Not the greatest rule book I've ever seen. I mean, it explains how to play everything. It's just a lot of text and a lot of block text. Which gets really hard to play. I wish they would have also done like, I mean, it's not a hard game to figure out. It's essentially what you're doing is you're trying to get your dinosaur to escape by getting them 50 points before you get too many disaster cards. And you can get either 3 matching ones or a set of 3. And there's wild cards that affect this as well. Other than that, you're playing point cards. Highest point card wins, lowest point card loses. Lowest card gets a disaster, which gets you closer to losing. High card wins, gets to move more spaces. But for every disaster card you get, you also get to move more spaces. But still, then kind of neat if they just did like a quick playthrough of the game, being like, oh, like these 3 people play this. This is what, you know. I just like when they do that. And there's instant cards, which also affect other stuff. There's resolving ties. You get, look how long this tie thing is if you get ties. I think that also could have probably been shortened up. But how to win? Either reach 50 or be the last one left alive. And then there's 2-player rules. So if you want to play 2-player, it just says take out some of the lower cards just so you're not having to worry about them. And then change how you get eliminated. You can add more cards to make it take you a little bit longer. Then 5-6 player rules. Just explain some of that stuff and resolving ties with 5-6 players. And some helpful reminders. I'm not going to jump into that too much. But we're going to look at the boards. So we get a little board for each character. So this is the Triceratops. So all these parts of the board are always going to be the same. Spots here for playing disaster cards, and your tracks. All the tracks are going to be the exact same. So if I open up Nervous Rex, the only difference is just be extended picture, but they're all going to be the same. So the only difference between the characters are they're going to have little different symbols here, so they gain bonuses when they're fighting against different disasters. And they're all fairly equal, so it's like a +1, -1 for each one of those. And the Bronto gets the third one. So each one gets a positive or negative based on the other one, just to ignore the third type. Then the 4th player would get Stego, which just gets +1 against the actual meteors, which are wild cards, but doesn't have any positives or negatives for the rest of them. Alright, and then the backs just say what they are. Little symbols for them. Which actually like symbols of the meeples. So all you're going to get are these little dinosaur meeples to track you. Cute little guys. And then people have asked, and people will ask, can you play this game with more than 4 players if you don't buy the expansion? And like most games like this, it's kind of like a yes/no answer. No, because having the extra expansion adds another 50 cards to the game, which definitely helps give better variety, and you're not running into this. I mean, that's your issue. If you have more players, you're going to be going through the decks quicker. One problem is, a little bit, is if you run through the disaster deck, which we're going to go through, which is the purple deck. the game is also over. That's just another win. Whoever has a high score wins. So you have more players, you're going to be running through that deck a lot quicker without the additional cards. Granted, they don't add terribly many new cards to it for a 5-6 player expansion, but that's one extra round. It's every round, so you might not go through it anyhow. But you're going to be cycling through the other deck quicker. Also, you don't have the board or the meeples, but you could create stuff. So could you play with more than 4 players with this game? Yes, sure could. You could definitely do it. It's just you're going to be running through the deck a lot quicker. You're going to see the same cards a lot more often, probably. I would just recommend if you want to play, buy the expansion, and you have everyone has the same board. You don't have to make your own. Plus, there's a lot of fun new cards in the expansion, which we will get to in part 2 of the video. Alright. So we're going to jump in and we're going to look at the disasters. So they're red, which are predatorial disasters. And mine have little marks on them. That's how they came. Probably first printing marks now. But I do have these extra sleeves. You don't have to use sleeves if you don't want. Lots of people don't. I sleeve all my games. I don't usually typically buy good sleeves, but these came with the Kickstarter. So I have to now order more for my expansion sets. But I do kind of like them because these decks get shuffled quite a bit. Alright, so you have Stomped. You're crushed by a Mega Dino and your herd awkwardly walks away. Oh. Armed and Dangerous. These tiny dinos look adorable until they threaten to kill you and your family. A Day at the Beach. Your beach turns into a whale of a surprise. Little Cannibal. Maybe next time you should think twice before babysitting a carnivore. Fired Up. Prehistoric fire ants unleash their wrath on you for taking a nap on their hill. Shark with Legs. Just your average day running in horror from a freaking land shark. I love the land shark. Feeling squirrely. Life is going great. Just kidding, of course. You're attacked by saber-toothed squirrels. And Love Hurts. You always wanted to be in love. Boa Constrictor gives you a hug. You're thrilled. Then we have the emotional damage. Disasters. Outer Circle. Are the other dinosaurs really talking about you? Yes. Left Behind. Again. Your friends plan a road trip without you. The exhaust fumes hit you as they drive away. The future is bleak. You visit a fortune teller and the crystal ball explodes. That can't be a good sign. Emergency exit. Looks like your ex is better off without you after all. Ooh, Burn. The cookies we were looking for all day burnt to a crisp. Such sad dinos. The Baddest Hair Day. You try to cut your own hair. Watch as your self-esteem falls to the floor. Ghosted. You get ghosted by your dino date. They must actually be dead, you say to yourself as you tear salt your dinner for one. The Sad Truth. You lie awake at night thinking about how much of a disappointment you are. We got some environmental damages. This feels personal. A small earthquake hits that seems to have happen only under you. You fall through a crack in the earth. Casual afternoon stroll. You are hiking a volcano that has been dormant for thousands of years. It erupts. Spa day. Your relaxing spa day turns into tragedy as you start to sink in hot tar. The Uncommon Cold. Is it just a cough? Or are you secretly dying? Time to start panicking. Downpour. When it rains, it pours. But only on you. Bright idea. The sun isn't actually that bright, they said. You proved them wrong. Oh, look what Stego here is just so happy in all his cards. Trapped. A tree falls in the forest and no one else is around to save you. Is this your new life now? Leave me alone. You get cut by a particular sharp leaf. And then you're going to get meteor cards, which are wild cards. So they act as any of the 3. And you're going to get... Oh, my thing is full, but you get 4 of them. Kind of like 1 for each player, essentially. But not necessarily. Alright, then we're going to have points cards determined. Some are just going to be generic points cards worth 5, like this one. Home run bat. Or sorry, the run home bat. We have 4 copies of Pet Rock, which has an ability. It says you may discard a point card from your hand. That adds value to your score this round. What's kind of nice about that one is what you do with it is you play 0, so you're the lowest score, and then you can discard only what you need to beat. So if someone else plays a 2, you can if you have a 3 or a 4, you can discard that, rather than necessarily spending your highest card. Plus, it also gets more cards out of your hand. So you can draw new cards. We have Ice Tea, which is a pterodactyl in a block of ice. We have 2 copies of Mouthtrap. During scoring this round, switch the score of the highest scoring player with the score of the lowest scoring player after scores have been calculated. Now, if you're playing more than 2 players, this could affect you, or it could just be messing with 2 other people. Now, the thing to remember here, it says during scoring, switch them. It's not a may. You have to do this. So if you play it, it might hurt you, depending on whatever else plays. 2 copies of Fire Spray. Aerosol King with a match. You may discard up to 3 cards from your hand. Again, this is to get through your hand quicker, maybe get higher cards, get rid of your lower cards. 2 copies of Special Starfruit. During the scoring this round, double the effects of score boosters and score sappers. And one of these things is, it's not a may, it's not you, it's everybody. So if an opponent plays one, they get double as well. 2 copies of Delicious Smoothie. You may discard a point card with an effect from your hand, then add its point value to your score this round. So kind of like Pet Rock, but you have to have specific ones. We get 4 copies of the Gravemaker. It's just a shovel. 3 copies of the ultra powerful 9-cost Meteor Cannon. 3 cards for the Sting Stabber, which is a bee on a sword. 1 copy of a Hungry Planet. You may swap point cards of any 2 other players. This is a may, so it's optional. We got 4 copies of Bonehead, Pterodactyl Pickaxe. 2 copies of the Grappling Snake. You may swap this card with the point card of a player to your left or right. You cannot swap for a card that has an effect. So definitely this is a gamble, because if you draw it and your opponents only play effect cards, you can't take them. 4 cards of the super weak Cool Stick. But you need low cards to make the high cards seem better. So speaking of low cards, we also have 4 copies of Handy Pan. You're also going to get 4 copies of Bow and Dino. Shooting a little tiny dino. 1 copy of the ultra powerful Flaming Chainsaw. During this round, all other point card effects are ignored. That can definitely hurt the game. They actually not won, but it made someone else lose one of our last game because they couldn't do anything. 2 Dino Grabbers. You may look at another player's hand, choose a card, and add it to your hand. So for 1, you're probably going to lose the round, but you can steal someone else's awesome card, potentially, and save yourself. Trinoculars. You may look at the top 2 cards of the deck, choose a card, and add it to your hand, discard the other card. So those are all the points cards. Then we have a bunch of instances, which will let you do various things throughout the game. So we have 5 copies of Score Booster. So players scoring any scoring add 2 points to any player's score this round. So boost up your own to win, boost up somebody else's so that they beat somebody else and maybe they're not in last place, or put somebody else in last place. And then the opposite of that, we have 5 copies also of Score Sapper, which during the scoring round subtract 2 points from any player. Again, you can use it on somebody else. You can use it on yourself. Maybe you don't want to be the top player for some reason. We have 2 copies of Scoring Version. Player's card during scoring. Switch the score of the highest scoring player to the score of the lowest scoring player after scores have been calculated. So now this one waits until all other cards have been played. So if you play this, and then someone else plays a booster or something else that does effects, they'll take place before this activates. So when everyone's done playing cards, you swap the 2 scores. So you could play this being like, oh, that guy has a 7 and I have a 2, I'm going to swap them. But then they still have a chance to play something to mess that up. We have Disaster Redirect. Play this card. If you would add a disaster to your disaster area this round, add that disaster to another player instead. Good way to like finish off the game. Like, I'm going to lose, sabotage it, play a little card to throw it at somebody else. And then 3 copies of Disaster Insurance. Play this card. If you would add a disaster to your disaster area this round, move that disaster to the bottom of the disaster deck instead. So again, another great way to avoid damage. If you know you're going to probably lose, play one of your low cards. You can save this, which is one way to do it. I would recommend doing it if you're going to lose the game anyhow. With like, oh, I need one more blue card, I'm going to lose, and there's a blue one. Maybe take it and then play this to get rid of it, and save yourself that way. And then plus get rid of a low card out of your hand. It's a good combo. Alright, so that was our happy little dinosaurs. And there's blue decks and purple decks and brown decks to keep them separate. Shows like all the different disasters. And then this one shows the dinosaurs, just so you can keep them apart a little bit easier. And the backs are the same underneath. So you can see it's still a brown one, so it didn't change the backs on these cards with the sleeves. Alright, that's what we got. So, yeah, check out part 2, which will be the 5-6 player expansion and the Kickstarter cards. See you guys there. Bye.